You don't become who you are in the big moments, not in the life-changing decisions or in the milestones or in the dramatic turning points people like to talk about. You become who you are in the moments that no one notices, the small ones, the ones that last maybe 10, 20, or 30 seconds at most. And the uncomfortable part, the part that most people never stop to consider, is that those moments aren't random, they're repeated. And because they're repeated, they're shaping you quietly, consistently, and permanently. Welcome to The Ordinary Effect. I am your host, Guido Perino. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you subscribe. If you don't, hit the subscribe button. The first thing that you did this morning, think about it. Not the big thing, which may have been just getting out of bed and not starting your day. I mean the first small reaction. Did you reach for your phone? Did you sit in silence for even a second? Did you check something, scroll something, respond to something? That moment right there, that tiny, almost invisible decision that's not just a habit, that's a signal. Because what you do in that moment, you've done before. And what you've done before, you'll do again. What you repeat becomes automatic. And what becomes automatic becomes you. We like to think of personality as something stable, defined, something we have. I am disciplined. I am laid back. I am anxious. I am focused. But personality isn't something you have. It's something you rehearse every single day in ways so small that you don't even realize that you're practicing. You are practicing avoidance every time that you feel discomfort and immediately distract yourself. You are practicing impatience every time you interrupt someone before they finish their thought. You are practicing distraction every time silence lasts just a little bit too long and you fill it with your phone. And the thing is, none of those moments feel important. None of them feel like they matter. But they all stack up. That's the part that people underestimate. Not the moment, the repetition of the moment. Because one time doesn't define you, but 1,000 times, that does. You see, there's this idea that change has to be big. That if you want to become a different person, you need a plan, a system, a breakthrough. That's not really how it always works. Because you don't live your life in big moments. You live it in small reactions. And those reactions, those 30-second windows, are where everything is decided. It's the moment when something feels slightly uncomfortable and you choose without thinking what to do next. That's where your real identity lives. Not in what you say you value, but in what you instinctively do. Picture this. You're in a conversation. Someone's talking, and halfway through their sentence, you know you do this. You already know what you want to say. There's a split second, a choice. You either wait or you jump in. That's it. It's not dramatic. Doesn't feel life-changing. But that moment, repeated over time, it builds something. It builds how people experience you. It builds whether you're seen as someone who listens or someone who waits to talk. And the wild part is most people don't even realize they're making that choice. They think, that's just how I am. But it's not how you are. It's what you've practiced. Take another moment. You feel a little uncomfortable, not overwhelmed or panicked. You just maybe feel slightly off. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're just not certain. Maybe it's just silence. But within seconds, you reach for your phone. I see it all the time. You know it. Not because you decided to, because it felt automatic. You're watching TV. How many of you reach for your phone during a commercial? You're sitting in silence somewhere waiting for a bus or something. How many of you reach for your phone? That moment matters more than it seems, because what you're training isn't a habit. You're training your brain to escape. You're reinforcing the idea that discomfort should be avoided, not explored. And when you do that enough times, you don't just become someone who uses your phone a lot. You become someone who can't sit still with their own thoughts. That's how identity forms, not through intention, but through repetition. You see, there's something else also happening here too. Something subtle, but it's important. Every time that you act in those 30-second windows, you're either building trust with yourself or you're breaking it. And most people, they don't even realize that they're breaking it because it doesn't feel like a big promise. It's just a thought. I should probably do this. And then you don't. You delay it. You ignore it. You push it off. And in that moment, nothing dramatic happens. There's no consequence. There's no penalty. Just a quiet signal. One that says, I don't follow through. And the more you repeat that signal, the more it becomes true. That's how procrastination forms. Not from laziness, but from repeated micro delays, moments where you had the opportunity to act and chose not to. And then again and again and again. And eventually, you don't see it as a pattern. You see it as your personality. Well, I'm just not disciplined. But that's not accurate. You've just practiced not acting. Look, here's where this may get even more uncomfortable. Because if your personality is built into these small moments, that means that you're responsible for more than you think. Not in a heavy, overwhelming way, but in a very precise way. Because it's not about controlling everything. It's about noticing something. That first reaction, that first 30 seconds. That's the only place that you actually have leverage. Not later. Not after the habit kicks in. Not after you've already scrolled for 10 minutes or avoided something for an hour. It has to be at the beginning. Because once that pattern starts, well, it just runs automatically. So the question then really isn't, how do I change my life? It might be just simpler than that. What do I do in the first 30 seconds when something feels slightly uncomfortable? Do you escape, delay, distract? Or do you stay and lean in even just a little bit? That's the shift. It's not a big one. It's not a dramatic one. Just that small interruption right at the beginning. So instead of reaching for your phone, you wait. Not forever, just 10 seconds. Just long enough to feel the discomfort instead of avoiding it. Instead of delaying something, you start it. Not completely or perfectly, just for 30 seconds. Just enough to break the pattern. Instead of interrupting, you pause. Let the silence sit. Let the other person finish just once. And what's interesting is that those small interruptions, they start to compound. Because now you're just not repeating the old pattern over and over. You're introducing a new one. And even if it's small, it just might feel different. And different, when repeated, could become identity. That's how confidence forms. Not from thinking differently, but from acting differently in those small amounts, in those small moments. Moments where you didn't avoid, where you didn't back off, moments where you stayed just a little longer than usual. Over time, it adds up, not dramatically, not overnight, but in a quiet, undeniable way. You start to notice it. You're a little more present, a little less reactive, a little more intentional. And then one day, someone might describe you differently. Maybe more focused, more calm, more disciplined. I never knew you to be this way. It'll feel strange because you didn't become that person in a big moment. You just stop repeating the old ones. That's the ordinary effect. Not dramatic or obvious, but powerful. In the end, you don't become a different person all at once. You become a different person 30 seconds at a time. And most of those seconds, no one will ever see, but they'll define everything. Thank you for joining me on The Ordinary Effect this week. I'm your host, Guido Perino. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, stay with us, join us again, get notified. Take care of each other.